Welcome back to Anatomy and Physiology, Chapter 10 on Muscles, Part 1, Video number 2. So this types of muscle tissue section is all review from the beginning of the year when we talked about tissue. So if you recall, there were 3 different types of muscle tissue. The first one is skeletal. Sometimes it's called striated. I spelled that wrong. Striated. We had smooth muscle. And we had specialized muscle found in the heart called cardiac muscle. So we're going to compare these different types of muscle tissue in this chart. And this chart goes over the location, the shape of the cells that make up the muscle tissue, the nucleus, because the nucleus in these is rather unique, special cell-to-cell connections that may exist, if there are striations, how it is controlled, is it capable of contracting spontaneously, and the generalized functions of that type of muscle tissue. So, skeletal muscle, the location. It is attached to bones, and that would be via tendons. So tendons are the connection between muscles and bones. Smooth muscle is found throughout the body. It's found in the walls of hollow organs, blood vessels, most prominently in arteries, in the eye. So the iris of the eye is going to contain smooth muscle, glands, and the skin. Cardiac muscle, obviously, is found in the heart. So when we talk about the cell shape, skeletal muscle cells are very long, and they are rather cylindrical. With their nucleus, they are multinucleated. So that means that one cell has multiple nuclei and they are near the surface. Smooth muscle are spindle-shaped. So they are kind of look like an elongated football. And cardiac muscle are cylindrical, but they are branched. So we're going to see that they have a lot of connections to one another, and that's going to be based on their function. We have a single central nuclei or nucleus in a smooth muscle cell, and that is the same in cardiac muscle. There are no real specialized cell-to-cell attachments, but in smooth muscle, we're going to see gap junctions that allow communication between the cells. And in cardiac muscle, we have something called intercalated discs. And the cell-to-cell connection is going to be extremely important in these two types of muscle because they act as a unit for the most part. So a lot of smooth muscle acts together, and we have to have communication among the cells, where cardiac muscle, that is the hallmark of cardiac muscle, that it all contracts in a very specific manner to be able to pump blood. So there are specialized discs that connect the cells together that allows for communication to occur. Now, striations is nothing more than stripes. So this is based on appearance, and it's going to be microscopic appearance. So skeletal muscle does have that appearance. Smooth muscle does not. and cardiac muscle does. We mentioned control before. Skeletal muscle is voluntary. And thank goodness that both smooth and cardiac muscle are involuntary, where we don't have to focus on doing those. So we don't have to think about moving food from our esophagus into our stomach, into our duodenum, into our small intestine. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about cardiac muscle. It just happens. Our cardiac muscle, our heart beating. If we had to think of that, we wouldn't be able to sleep. We wouldn't be able to function, because this being involuntary frees up our bodies and our brain a little bit to be able to do other things. So that's really important. Spontaneous contraction, not really for skeletal muscle. Our brain can cause things to happen, but it's not spontaneously generated by the muscle. Some smooth muscle is, but definitely cardiac muscle. So the function of skeletal muscle is mainly movement and posture. So this allows us to move. It allows us to maintain homeostasis by actually physically moving our body into a different situation if need be. Smooth muscle has a lot of different functions in the body. Food movement. Excretion of waste. Blood movement. And that is going to include changing the diameter of blood vessels to work with blood pressure. Pupil size. So it helps light enter or be prohibited or reduced entering our eye, so we can adjust to conditions to see better. Hair movement. Now this one's not as great for humans as it is other animals. Gland secretion. Now hair movement is going to be related to body temperature regulation also. So this is just a small list of the functions. We could add a lot more to that, but that's good for us. And basically the function of cardiac muscle, pumping blood. That's its basic sole purpose, is to pump blood to keep nutrients and waste flowing in the body. One of the most vital functions of anything in our body.